and good morning, Unicorn fam. Welcome to the Crypto Unicorns Town Hall number 50 with Aron Beierschmitt, Crypto Unicorn CEO and co-founder. We hope you all had a happy Halloween. Don't hang your Christmas lights up yet, though, because we have one spooky surprise left for you for the next week. That's all I'm saying for now. Let's listen to our updates from Aron. Good morning, Aron. How are you doing? And how was your Halloween?
Thanks, Barkley. I'm doing fantastic. My Halloween was awesome. Yeah, we handed out a ton of candy. We have one of those neighborhoods that really goes hard. So saw about 200 kids or something. But it was great. My wife made me an epic Thomas the Tank Engine outfit that was pretty sweet. And of course, my new son, Frank, was, as you can imagine, a unicorn. So no, it was great. Looking forward to next Halloween with a high likelihood that there's hopefully some crypto unicorns costumes running around based on some of the progress we're seeing on the get the IP out into the real world. So sweet. Let's get to updates. We have a very action-packed Q4, to say the least, Unifam. This month, you're going to see Twilight Tactics launch. That launches next week, which is going to be awesome. We also have the Rainbow Rumble closed and open betas. So a very kind of concentrated step-by-step effort in which we'll be generating hype and buzz around the launch of Rainbow Rumble. Zori's signed up a number of streamers to participate in this event, and I think it's going to be a really great showcase just generally. So the Rainbow Rumble closed and open betas will be this month. And we also have the Unicorn Party App Store submissions for both Mob Run and Bumper Corns. So official mobile submissions. Again, this is part of the process of relaunching as unicornparty.com. This is the initial test of getting those games past the Apple and Google review process. And so anyway, lots of exciting stuff happening this month. Before the end of the year, we, of course, will have Tribes, our big 3.0 release, something that I'm now teasing as the Great Meta Reset, which we can get into a little bit if there are questions on that, but trying to look at a radical, I would say, reimagining of land gameplay in the context of Tribes and everything that comes after Tribes. Generally, TLDR, reduce some of the grind. I would actually say significantly reduce the overall grind, focus more on strategic gameplay and just generally setting ourselves up for Tribes 3.0 and beyond. Before end of year, again, we'll have the unicornparty.com official launch, which is the web and mobile versions. There will also be a bonus game on top of the ones that were pitched. So we're actually going to be getting an extra game. There'll be an announcement from Vanessa and the Team Surf team here soon on that front. So anyone excited to hear the Unicorn Party latest and greatest, stay tuned. Again, before end of year and post the closed and open betas, we'll have the official Rainbow Rumble launch, followed very closely by our big Creator Cup Day. Again, super excited by the number of streamers we've had sign up. And it should be a really phenomenal opportunity, again, to re-pitch our product, our ecosystem to people who are looking for real-time skill-based PvP and are less interested in some of the land gameplay that we have to date. And then lastly, I think the big thing prior to end of year is expect a Tribes Elder Game preview. This will be basically, here's everything coming post the 3.0 launch. This will include things like how tribes fight each other and compete to, be the kind of rulers of this world. It will also include how the Match 3 Team RPG integration is occurring. How are we bringing in Match 3 to Tribe PvP? How are we bringing, Team RPG PvP, Arena PvP into play? And so part of this will be very much showcasing to the community, this is how we are landing the plane as far as our Elder game is concerned. And it will put into context some of this great meta reset alongside kind of the launch of Tribes and really where we're headed in 2024 and beyond. And I'm very, very excited by that direction. I've recently signed off on it, and we're now kind of fleshing out the nitty-gritty details. So that's it as far as high-level updates, Sparkly. Love to dive into questions.
All right. Hi. Okay, so we can go ahead and ask questions. We do have a hard stop at the end of the hour, so let's run by the rules really quickly. We have a 3 questions per person rule. If a question has been answered previously, you'll have to ask something else. Any questions related specifically to your account or a Zendesk issue, please message us on mod support so the CM team can help you. To ask a question in voice, please press the request to speak button. The button looks like a raised hand, and you can queue up at any time. Once we accept your request, you'll see a green bar at the top of your Discord. Click accept to begin speaking. We also have written questions. It's on the town hall thread in the feedback channel. Take note that we prioritize spoken questions over written ones. You can also head on stage and ask any question that you might find there or any question that you want to ask. First up, though, are the anonymous questions. We have 2 entries so far, so if you want to ask an anonymous question, we still have 3 to go. Okay, let's have question number 1. Can we get a specific date for jousting fixes?
Yeah, giving a specific date is not possible. I'll tell you why. I know we've previewed the current ideas we have around changing the algorithm. General feedback from the community has just been, meh, doesn't fix the full problem, and I'm not putting more work towards it until we have a solution that we feel like fixes the problem. And if ultimately it's we don't want it to be pure auto battle, we want ways to influence the sim. I mean, all of these, we've obviously seen a lot of ideas on this front that lean into a lot of development work. And I would prioritize kind of everything that is currently on the team's plate over that adjustment. So I'm not seeing the level of signal right now that would have me prioritize the jousting changes. So those members of the community that really care and want to see change on that front, you need to make your voices heard in a way that's constructive and leads us to a solution that has enough buy-in that we think is going to be successful. We've taken too many shots at jousting only to have it get eviscerated on the other side and people complain kind of endlessly about it. And I've seen people on both sides of the fence here. So if the recent set of changes that James put forward, you do not feel are enough, that's kind of the impression that I got. If that's incorrect and everybody feels good about those changes, great. We need to make that known to people like Zawari and the CM team and stuff, because I'm just not seeing clear sentiment around, hey, this feels good, this is going to be a big step up. Again, otherwise, I'm going to continue to prioritize other features on the roadmap in place of this quote unquote jousting fix. So I don't know. This isn't a non-question, so I don't know if this person's supportive of those changes or not, or if there's follow-ups on that front. If this person that asked the question is supportive of these changes, you need to probably push harder on that, because there are other voices within the community who seem to think that they're just meh. And I don't want to put engineering resources towards meh. Hopefully that answers the question. Happy to do any follow-ups on that front, Sparkly, if they come through.
Gotcha. So if you guys have any follow-up questions, feel free to ask them in anonymous questions, or you could just go ahead and ask them in chat. Okay, related to that, we will have LG, James, and Zoyori coming into the feedback channel for some questions on what people want the jousting meta to be. We don't have a specific time yet, but please look forward to that over the next week. All right, next question. How is everybody in LG? Stoked, stonk / bullish? Hype?
Generally, I would say morale's pretty good. I think we are getting close to the end of the year. It's been a kind of crazy and hectic year, just generally. I will say crypto winter appears to maybe slightly be thawing. I do not think we're out of the woods yet at all, but the just general sentiment in the market getting better, I think, is improving things. It was nice to see a little bit of green in the market for the first time in kind of what feels like forever. And if you look at the charts, it has been forever. So I think generally a lot of that is helping. I think we're very confident in the strategy that we've had all along, which was to just keep our head down, keep building and creating this beachhead in the market and waiting for kind of the next wave to occur. And I'm getting more and more confident that we'll be well positioned to capture that next wave. So I would say that's good. I think you contrast that with just generally, teams have been working their ass off for quite some time. It is difficult to work as hard as they have been and see KPIs just kind of flat and static, slightly down, whatever it may be. So just generally, I would say people are excited and happy, but also fatigued and hopeful that we start to see a little bit of a sentiment reversal here in the market. And it's just a little bit easier when you've got a tailwind instead of these strong headwinds. So I think there's perhaps some hopium beginning to flow through the team.
Definitely. And to add to that, a lot of the members of the community kind of noticed that we had a bit less CM presence over the last couple of days. It's actually a funny story. The CM team went out for spaghetti last Monday, and then we all got sick. And it was kind of a struggle, but they can break our body, but not our spirit. And we are back. We are so excited. We are so back, chat. Okay, so how are we doing? We doing amazing. Next up, we do have a message from Lovex Popcorn earlier, giving a huge shout out to Haku team and devs, saying thank you for the market and their contribution to crypto unicorns. So I'm thinking a lot of the community maybe would want an update on the marketplace. What are things looking like for us?
We've evaluated a number of options at this point. There are a series of startups in the space similar to Haku that are offering white label marketplaces, and every time we've really looked at that, especially given the experience with Haku, I'm just worried about putting that in anyone else's hands. So we have a few more stones to turn over to kind of finish the evaluation, but right now I'm very much leaning towards building on top of Reservoir, which is an open source set of APIs that allows you to pretty quickly skin up a marketplace on a battle tested backend. Fully integrates with things like Seaport, etc. Aggregates listings even if they are on OpenSea into our custom interface, where we can surface the relevant information, right? Like we poked OpenSea today because it's like, hey, you're not showing land above level 8 or whatever the issue was. And it's just like an ongoing shit show to get them to do anything to kind of support us. So I have no interest in relying on OpenSea. We are going to have to deal with a little bit of that as we transition and get our new marketplace stood up. The good news is from a roadmap perspective, after Twilight Tactics launches next week, the web team's involvement with things like the Glue Factory, which will effectively be where you're burning unicorns to create souls for high-tier gems, assuming you're not getting souls out of the unicorns that are dying in the forest, in the dark forest during Twilight Tactics. But the Glue Factory is a pretty simple, web page. Certainly a shitload simpler than this massive project that has been the Twilight Tactics battler. And so, the goal is to transition the web team over to the custom, the custom marketplace, and just to kind of show people like I probably shouldn't be doing leaks like this, but
oh boy,
that's a screen recording going into the town hall chat there for people to kind of see. Like this thing is further along than you might expect, and I'm reasonably confident that we can get something done. There will just be a period of time in which obviously we're relying on OpenSea. But I think the priorities are, we've seen what happens when we rely on other startups in this space, and I don't want to get burned again. So the opportunities to leverage an open source, stack and have a front end that displays the metadata that's relevant to our community, is listening to the damn events as these metadata, as the metadata gets updated, listening to our contract events so those things occur in real time. This is the way to go, and it adds enormous value for future projects. So that to me is the direction that we plan to head. And again, once we have timelines after the team kind of gets Twilight Tactics out the door, we'll begin sharing more about what the migration plan looks like, how we want to go about incentivizing our marketplace over OpenSea, and kind of go from there. I know there's been members of the community who've reached out on this front. And again, I'd refer back to the old product requirements documents and stuff from the old Merkle root proposal if you want to look at like what are the minimum requirements that we're trying to shoot for. So we have a plan. The negative effect will simply just be there's going to be a period of time between when Haku shuts down here on the 10th and when we're going to be able to get our solution out the door. So community is unfortunately just going to have to bear with us as we get through that transition. On the other side of it, we should be much, much, much better set up for success and just in a position where we have way more control over that piece of the market. One thing I'd love feedback from the community on is how to set the fees. I think doing less than 5% total is fair, and we should kind of go for to offer an incentive for anyone to just list there versus OpenSea. But is it 3%? Is it 4%? Obviously, all of this would flow into the treasury. So there's some considerations there that we should really, really think through as a community. And I'd love any feedback that people might have on that front. And the pluses and minuses of going really low fee versus trying to optimize a little bit more for treasury inflows. So there's the general kind of marketplace update on that front. Again, we're still evaluating a couple of other groups, but again, yes, the Sequence team has a custom, white label marketplace. There's several other groups. We've had community members come forward. Again, I think we've seen on the other side the results of relying on external companies or startups that are, like everyone struggling in this space. And so I want to try to chart a path forward that doesn't, that kind of solves this once and for all.
All right, exciting. Okay, I wanted to get back to you in that glue factory thing. Goliath Thrills is asking, we can burn babies, right? In this glue factory? How would you like to reply?
You got to evolve them into adults. We're not going to let anyone kill children. So only adult unicorns can be burned.
They need to experience the happiness of adulthood first, chat. Please practice benevolence. Okay, we do have a follow-up on that question about jousting. So the quarterfinals usually have 6 to 8 stars. For me, that's enough to acknowledge the imbalance. What kind of consensus would you need to acknowledge that as some sort of evidence?
All I really care about is, so when Zoe and James come forward and present, and I know James has already presented this algo change, right? The reaction that I got was, or I perceived was, meh, this doesn't do enough, right? I'm not going to put resources towards meh, right? I acknowledge that there is a quote unquote imbalance based on where star corns are relative to other classes in the overall breeding game, combined with the current algorithm as is. I'm not sitting here and saying it's perfect. I'm simply saying come to consensus as a community. And when I say a community, I'm talking about the 250 or so accounts that really joust a shitload. Come to a consensus that's clear, that's not divided, and you'll get the support from me in putting this back on the roadmap in a way that we can see this, see this occur. Right now, I do not want to waste engineering resources chasing a thing that only a few players are advocating for. So I'm relying on Ziori, I'm relying on LG James to come to me when they feel like they've got a clear signal from the community that the changes that we're making are good enough. And so maybe I've misjudged that reaction. I've obviously been very focused on fundraising and other things. And if the community feels like I have, your outlet is Zori, LG James. As Sparkly mentioned, they're going to be doing this working session with the community to discuss this. But again, if the end result is meh or large disagreement amongst the community of jousters currently, I'm not going to prioritize that work until we have signal on that front. And also, like I said, if it's ultimately like, hey, we want more control over the jousting sim and it being in real time, that's a major rework. That would be jousting 2.0. And again, in contrast to everything else on the roadmap, that's not of interest to me. So what I would like to see is the community come to a conclusion around altering the current algorithm, which is a reasonable amount of work, right? And I'd be happy to put it back on the roadmap again once we have signal from the community that these changes are going to better balance the sim. Which ultimately, what do we care about? More people playing, more people feeling like they've got the ability to progress their corns. We also have to see how gyms changes this when you have the ability to buff corns that may be good in a certain area but weak in another. Like that's also going to change things. So there's a little bit of also wanting to see how that plays out. How aggressively are players taking corns that weren't super great, but you add the right gems to it, now they start to get really good. How do those compete against some of the OP star corns and things of that nature? And I sure as shit won't get in the weeds on some of the stuff like Nivolio and others have brought up around just clear kind of mismatches. I know we've been very transparent about how the algorithm works. You can see that. And again, I want the community to come forward and come to consensus before we choose to reprioritize it. So hopefully that answers the question. I'm certainly not opposed to making changes. I just want to see that we have high signal and consensus before we go about deploying engineering resources.
All right. So we do have another anonymous question here related to jousting. Like, why don't you do a quick fix? I believe your question answers that appropriately. And we will have future conversations about this. Usually what we do is, Zero just comes on over to Sirius, drops a question, and people congregate in the thread and ask their questions. But what we did notice is that sometimes people who are major stakeholders in that sort of conversation aren't online. And when they do get to that thread, conversations kind of died down. So we will be making sure to announce that so people who want to discuss on that thread will be able to. All right. Okay, let's see. Oh, and for context, the reason why we are very careful with our time right now is that we have so many releases. You heard Aaron earlier in his updates. We have so many things to go before December. So please keep that in mind. All right. Let's see. Hmm. I'm looking into questions right now. Uh, yeah, I'm not seeing much in terms of questions for now. But Aaron, can you give us an update on the investor journey? Whatever, whichever you feel comfortable sharing.
We're just in the shit right now. I don't have really any other feedback. We have a few funds in the data room, a few more first calls today and tomorrow. And it just kind of is what it is. It's a grind until you get to a commitment and a lead. And I'm in that, I'm in and living that grind daily right now. So no positive or negative news other than to say I'm still in the shit and working through it.
All right. We have to respect that dedication. So, chat, make sure to wish Aaron good luck. Ooh, a whole conversation is happening in town hall chat. Okay, we have a question from Goliath Rules. Can you give an update on how the referral program is going?
Terribly. Probably the most disappointing thing we've released in quite some time.
I do have a lot of people in my DMs messaging me asking specific questions about the referral program and how they're going to be referring people. My suggestion is just go ahead. Go ahead and refer friends, refer family. If you have any specific questions, I'm always here to answer them. I've answered a fair amount of them, and we're looking forward to your referrals.
Yeah, I mean, my negative comment is specifically around the uptick. It's not leading to a significant uptick. And, like, holy shit, we've put a pretty damn big incentive there. So,
It's a pretty cool incentive, chat. I don't know. I haven't really seen any other incentive plans that are that well thought of. And in the future, if you do get your friends, your children to play Rainbow Rumble, and then that's something that they can do on the side. So just think about it.
yeah, I mean, it's a
Okay.
great program to expand against. I think we continue to see that there's a very small subset of players who are still here in this current market. Groups are incredibly tribal in this market. They're very hard to shake loose. We continue to try to do that. It's very, very slow. So I'm excited to hopefully see it scale with the next wave. I'm unsure it's going to inflect growth until that occurs. Now, when all of the streamers that Zori has signed up for the Creator Cup start throwing that program out there, I know they've been very excited about it. It's one of the more generous programs that we've seen in the space, especially now. And so I have high hopes for it. I think the initial reaction, not super great. And it just shows me again how brutally hard it is for anyone right now to kind of grow in this market. So that's just my sober take on kind of where it's at. And I caution people to look at it as more of a mid to long term play that at least we have in place now, and ideally waiting for the next wave.
All right. Okay, we have Goliath Rose saying he'd like to step on stage and say something. Oh, there we go. Come on over. Hey, Goliath. Good morning.
Good morning. So I thought I'd give a verbal response to the reference or the referral program and that, and just kind of comments in terms of what I had experienced. So I'm, not only do gaming online, but I got some board game folks that essentially I was trying to get from the Web 2/board gaming world over to here, and then started talking to them about their referral program and stuff like that, and they looked at me like I was crazy. So I think the challenge that I've come into is that I'm trying to figure out how it fits into the process of how I operate. So in my world, essentially, with regards to Web 2 folks, they're hesitant to even believe that crypto is even like a possibility, right? So they're not willing to put like money into the play. So that's one challenge that I had. The other thing that I think, because we're in such a FUD market, it makes it hard to convince folks to come on to the process, um, unless they really have some sort of way to experience it, which then entails somebody like me saying, okay, well, I guess I'll donate something to you, right? Or the whatnot and that. And um, donating to a player with the concept that you don't know if they're even going to engage with it is sort of hard to do sometimes unless you're a whale. I mean, I'm getting whale-ish, but I'm not quite there yet where I'm willing to just cough up resources. So one thing I had done is that I put a proposal together for like I guess you would say, sort of like the mustard seed of the board, right? Is essentially a hub. And so just something to review, something to think about, but having essentially a start point that gets them essentially, I guess, for lack of better words, a tutorial level version of a land that doesn't really give them a lot of capability, but at least it lets them experience it, is something that I was thinking might help. So that's my 2 cents right now.
Yeah, I appreciate that feedback, Goliath. Do you have any specific questions for me? I mean, time and time again, people have kind of asked for these tutorials. Pirate Nations has this really phenomenal little setup tutorial.
Yeah,
I look
exactly.
at their on-chain data; they're not growing either. So there's this question of like, that's interesting, right? What I will say, and what our plan is to lean further into Mailbox and the event questing system to give players these starter quests that act as that tutorial. The thing I despise in gaming, and I think they might have to fire me as the CEO here before you see it, is those ridiculous grab you by the nose and drag you through a ClickFest tutorial to
Yes.
quote unquote teach you the game. That was a thing that developed in mobile that I think is just the antichrist of games. Now, what I like is, hey, farm X, Y, or Z for, with these starter berries, and the timer's like 3 minutes. And so you get the collection and then you get that event done. And now here's a scroll that takes you on another quest tree and, like, again, teaches you the systems and teaches you the mechanics. That's where I'm leaning. That's the direction that I'm leaning. I'm pushing the design team very hard on getting these structures in place. Then the next day you show up, you have a mailbox message and some rewards, and I think that's the right way to lean into it. And my hope is that in tandem with kind of the referral program is the direction that we head. So I definitely 100% see what you're saying. I think I'm looking at building in the direction of, once a player has a few assets and things, like, we're going to go that path. I need to, this brings up the great meta reset. Like, there's other things too. Why are we waiting 24 hours on a damn egg? We should just let people hatch it immediately. Like, we're going to be, again, making some pretty damn drastic changes to things come 3.0 in a way that's very designed around allowing players who want to be more strategic without the click fest grind that is that can be land gameplay, depending on how you play it today. Removing some of the barriers to quicker dopamine hits is another way of putting it, just kind of bluntly. And allowing players this ability to progress as fast as they want to, use energy more as a gate instead of just long timers. Time and time again, anecdotally, I've had people come up and say, we love the game. I was playing it with my son or daughter or whoever, and we set everything up, and then we got to wait until tomorrow to come back and play again, right? And our excuse for a long time is like, well, we've got jousting, we've got these other things coming. Like, at the end of the day, part of this big reset is an acknowledgement of everything we're layering on, starting with Tribes 3.0 and beyond. And the idea that we're going to have Rainbow Rumble, we're going to have Unicorn Party. Like, you could sink endless hours into these games, right, if you want. And I do want to see the grind work shift out of land gameplay and into these other things where you're putting your skill and experience on the line, or you're thinking very strategically about how to move forward, especially from a tried gameplay perspective. So this is just, you kind of brought this up, and I want to signal that we're on the eve of making some pretty drastic changes designed to help make the land gameplay experience, I would say, a lot more friendly to new players, and focus in on the strategic aspects of the gameplay over the grind side. So
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I'm glad that I said what I said, because it kind of stimulated a lot of discussion on that for me, and a lot of good hints in terms of what's coming on. Now, the other question that I had in my mind was, do you think at some point in time it might be possible, and I brought this up a few times, to do something like a real-time strategy type game with regards to unicorns and minions and fighting on a board, that kind of thing? And since you don't have to do it in a player versus player, but you could do it in sort of like a async mode, I was just kind of hopeful that maybe someday something like a unicorns command and conquer type thing would be possible. It'd be kind of cool. So I don't know what your thoughts on that.
you're going to love Tribe PvP.
Oh,
You're
really?
gonna
Okay,
love
cool.
Tribe
All right.
PvP. If you saw, did you see the Arc 8 announcement?
Yeah, I did, and
Okay.
I was really excited about that. So yeah.
Yeah, a huge shout out to the team. I know Rice and a few others, Mitch, worked on that. It was great for me to see Monday. I was a little pissy on Monday. Ziori can attest to it. I was a little pissed at seeing our competitors' tokens senselessly fucking pump over the weekend. And Monday, seeing that arcade announcement and scrolling through it and going, you know what? Holy shit, that's the roadmap I've envisioned. That's what I'm really fucking excited about. And all of those things are happening, soon. If you look at the tribes, that is an actual screenshot of what the tribe LD3 space looks like, which you can think of as a panned back view from the view that you see with your land NFTs, right? With tribe PvP, totems, watchtowers, war machines, these kind of things start to come into place. It becomes very strategic where you put those, where you place those. And then tribe PvP is going to be this massive ladder climb of chaos, and tribes attacking each other. And again, it will be pretty crazy. And we're planning to pull match 3, the team RPG, into that, and start with a PvE experience where you, the attacking party, build your squad and go out and attack these quote unquote war machines, I will call them. And eventually that leads to like the arena PvP, which will be, unicorn squads against unicorn squads in real time, like very, very, very similar to obviously the team RPG experience that we had, the prototype, right? So we're thinking about, and we're very much pushing in this direction of the real gameplay here is the social gameplay, the tribe v tribe gameplay, like how you go about leveraging your team against another team, right? Like, you're going to have to think collaboratively, which war machines do we want to take on first, right? Are we going after this watchtower? How do we take out another group's town hall? I think that is, again, where we want to shift the focus of gameplay, the fun in the gameplay itself. And if we pair this with, I love that Farmer Ponzi Donner, make farming great again. That actually may be I may get a fucking hat of that. That may be what we call this, because I was worried about calling it the Great Reset and that everybody would freak out. We are going to make a lot of changes, and I'm sure inevitably somebody will be upset with these changes, but make farming great again may be the better way of putting it. Goliath, any follow-ups? Obviously, you've been able to extract, I would say, an enormous amount of alpha out of me so far today. So if you've got follow-up questions, I'm happy to hear them.
No, I mean that's a huge amount of alpha. So what would be? I mean, you just melted my brains. I'm really looking to. Oh, I know the last question I had in my brain is, Arc 8 going to be is going to have a Apple version come out, because I have an Apple phone and I really want to play it, not on the computer. So that's my question.
I do not know the answer to that.
So
yeah, I do not know the answer to that. Now, technically, Arc 8 is. Well, no, wait a second. This Arc 8 Beast and oh no, that's just their game. I don't know if the Prizes app by Gamey, which is the company behind Arc 8, is going to have it as well. So I'm unfortunately unclear on that, Goliath. So I don't have an answer for you there. LG Mitch, though, can get back to you when he gets online today.
All right, I'm going to hand it off to somebody else who wants to talk. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Oh,
Yeah,
we do
thanks,
have an
Goliath.
update. Sorry, from Rice. Rice says Arcade has iOS. Hype.
Ooh, yay. Okay, cool. All right.
Love to hear it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, later.
Thank you so much for your time. Goliath rules. That was monumental. Your boy is amazing at fishing out alpha from Aaron.
Yeah, just once it starts flowing, it's hard to. It just starts. The dam has broken. No, I mean it's great stuff. As you get the next question, like just generally, where I think the team is very excited is we do feel like we found a way to kind of bring everything together in the post 3.0 roadmap, how we integrate the team RPG mechanics into tribe PvP, how that ultimately evolves into arena PvP, which would be squad v squad instead of your unicorn squad against, say, like a war machine or whatever. And the strategic gameplay there, the level of psyops and politics that I think will occur over the process is going to be kind of crazy. I mean, to date, I have this statement I've told the team time and time again. It's like we've seen players both support and hate on each other and fight in Discord. And it's just been, that's where everything kind of happens. We saw a little bit of this with Unicorn Party, and we'll certainly see a ton of it with Rainbow Rumble and stuff. But all of these loops are very much designed for everybody to take it out on the playground and have it out, take it out in the sandbox and, fight over the toys and stuff. And I think it will lead to an experience that people really enjoy. Mitch hit on this point that resonated with me, kind of starting to call our game Survival 4X, especially, post Shadowcorn attacks, this Twilight Tactics War about to launch. And so anyway, long story short, I'm very excited by the direction that we've landed on and where we're headed. And so in the middle of all the launches through the end of the year, Zaori and Jeff and James, maybe Corbin and a few others are going to come forward and kind of present that post 3.0 and beyond roadmap, which will be very similar to the Shadowcorn roadmap that we pitched in, I guess, Q1, maybe early Q2. It's all kind of running together now. Which had, Shadowforge, Twilight Tactics, obviously all the stuff leading up to Tribes. So you can expect a similar presentation prior to the end of the year. And I think that's going to get everybody really, really pumped up. And if you combine that with kind of the timing of crypto winter beginning to thaw, and I'm pretty bullish on early to mid next year, at that point, like, we've got, I think, some really exciting stuff that we can push on and get people really excited about. So generally, I think that the element of timing in this space is not lost on me. I was very good at timing for about 9 months, and then we've had kind of a shit show for 18. And I'm very cognizant of what and how important it is over the next, say, 9 months to be in that right position. And very, very excited by that. All right, I'll step down from grandstanding. Other questions, Sparkly? Got 15 more minutes before I got to bounce.
We do have a copy pasta going on, but let's go to Farmer Ponzi Donner first. I have a question about the Shadowcorn rituals. Can we have an option to select the class of ritual but pay double or triple the RBW or other resources?
Anytime somebody wants to spend, the answer should always be, I'll give you an avenue to spend RBW. I'm not enough in the weeds to know the mechanics of what that looks like and how much work that would be for the team. But LG Rob's here. LG Rob is the one to talk about, or the one to ask that question to. So I'll let LG Rob fuel that one. But generally, if you want to spend more RBW, I don't know why we wouldn't allow it. But good question for LG Rob.
LG Rob, check her DMs. I just hit it up. Okay, let's see what the answer is going to be, chat. I will update you. All right. There is also there is a copy pasta going on. It says, I agree with LG James' proposal on jousting tuning. Introducing total stats into formula and tuning down the current intelligence balance. Let's have a fix ASAP. We are sorry, LG Rob.
This is the kind of stuff, this is the kind of stuff. And I'm sure I just shit over a bunch of our team's plans and, maybe I got out ahead of myself. I know that Zori and LG James want to come forward, have this working session, and again, come out of it. What I'm requesting is I want to see consensus and agreement around, we all feel good about this. This is not something where we're going to make this change and then all of a sudden it's like, well, but this. I really want to try to find a solution within the bounds of what we've already built that is just this tweak to the algorithm. And so if everybody looks at this and goes, this is good, then yes, this is the kind of signal that I want to see. And we'll get it back on the roadmap and prioritized. And then at that point, everybody can kind of understand, well, the meta is going to shift at a certain point. You'll know roughly when, based on where we slot it in on the roadmap, and everybody can begin to plan around that. But you also have to keep in mind, things like, I'll leave it at that. I was going to bring up gems again, but I've harped on that point. We do have to see how the meta shifts as you suddenly have the ability to basically tweak and tune individual unicorns, right? And via slotting gems in there. So that's something I'm pretty excited about, just generally.
All
Cool.
right,
Other questions?
Okay, let's check on other questions. Okay, Alden is saying consensus won't happen. Star breeders will obviously defend this meta, except me. Well, that remains to be seen. So we will have that event up for discussion in the feedback thread, and I'll make sure to update the community on when that'll happen, so we can have a nice little conversation about it. RXIS is asking, why does Twilight Tactics not have delegation? Can we expect delegation for Twilight Tactics?
Probably not. Why? Because it's a blockchain only thing. And if you really don't like it, write to the contract directly. LG Rob's going to hate me, but he got ChatGPT to stake his corns over the weekend. So, it's one of those things where it's just a separate system. Delegation is written for the core game, right? And it sits on our server, not necessarily on chain, though there's a few on chain components that they deployed to make it possible. So is it forever impossible? No. But generally, when we look at the data, the vast majority of participants in Shadowforge just have a few shadow corns, and we've been very focused on batch transactions and trying to reduce the number of transactions, getting gas optimization and stuff down. So it's something that we can build in the future, but the reasons why we didn't do it is it's separate systems, completely new work.
All right. Oh, we do have a reply from LG Rob coming in hot with his coffee and bagels regarding rituals. Setting up different pools of rituals you can mint is pretty flexible. The main limitation right now would be getting the time from the design team to pick what goes into the randomizer and how it's weighed, then web time to add to the interface somewhere, and then the QA cycle. So mainly it's a schedule/resource problem. So there you have it, chat. All right. Yeah, we do
that's
have
fresh from the source. I mean, over a coffee and bagel too. That is like fresh LG Rob. LG Rob hasn't had any meetings with product people, putting too much work on the engineering team's plate. So this is the best time to get some feedback on that. And he is correct, as always. Sorry, I interrupted you, Sparkly. I've had too much coffee this morning. I'm post coffee bagel over here.
No, we're good. I completely forgot what I was going to talk about. Let's be real. Oh, we do have another question from Goliath Rules. Will we get a new set of quests soon for quest boards? Not sure if quest boards are up for a refresh soon.
Yes, quest boards are going to get this massive refresh with the Make Farming Great Again change. The Great Meta Reset / Make Farming Great Again. So yes, the quest board and how to alter and shift the quest board is a major topic right now in front of the design team. So definitely going to be doing some stuff on that front. So yes, major changes on questing, major changes to how farming works in some ways, major changes to timers, major changes to how quickly you can progress, major changes to, again, why are we waiting 24 hours before you can hatch a damn egg? Let's just let you hatch them immediately. And so again, really trying to lean into, and this is something I've always said, I'm not sure how many people really have grokked it, but we launched with an MVP May 5th of 2022, and we've just been adding features ever since. And we're now at a state where my message to the team was take a step back, look at everything we now have and built that we didn't have at the beginning, and what changes would you make just purely to the tuning of the game itself. And so this is one of the advantages of the hybrid component of our game, is our ability to reset this without engineering's involvement, as a matter of fact, just because of the way the hybrid game is set up. So this is something that you'll expect to get a lot more details over the course of the next few weeks as we formalize this plan and inevitably roll it out to everyone to get feedback, good, bad, and ugly on that front. And then, we'll be well positioned to get this out in the context of 3.0. And I think 3.0 is this just major update in that it's the first truly social competitive gameplay coming and launching, with land gameplay. And as you'll see post 3.0 and how we're layering tribe v tribe PvP and bringing the match 3 team RPG mechanics into that system and then expanding on it for arena PvP. And as you see where that roadmap goes over the coming months, that's going to get everybody, I think, really excited. And it will also, again, this major change and shake up to the meta comes at that time because we're wanting to shift and reduce the grind. We want the gameplay to be more strategic overall. We've heard time and time again, there are aspects of this game, no matter what people will say, that people do really enjoy. And I want to 100% focus on doubling down there, smoothing out the on-ramp for new players and getting us into this position where everybody's super pumped about getting into a tribe, getting in the right tribe, beginning to build with your tribe, beginning to compete against other tribes. This is a major change for us. And it's all along this path of transitioning to the build battle game that we began with the launch of Shadowcorn Attack and everything that's kind of shipped since then and is imminent in shipping with things like Twilight Tactics, etc. So, for players who I know have been levying a lot of feedback over, the last few months, all the way to the last few years, a lot of it's been heard. We've been thinking about it a lot. And now the timing and everything is really coming together to do this big shakeup as we really step into the next phase. 3.0 really does mark this transition to the next phase for us as a team and as a community.
What is Algier Rob is welding in the chat.
Oh man, you should come to town halls more often, Rob.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Rob, your humor is sublime. Even the feet jokes. We're good with the feet jokes. Okay, I think that's going to be our final question for the town hall. You did mention MFGA, and when you were saying that you wanted drastic changes, you mentioned something about why do we have to wait 24 hours for eggs? Why can't they just hatch? Do you have something like that for farming that you might want to share with the community?
I lost track of that one, Sparkly. What alpha are you trying to pull out of me right now?
Chat, he's noticing.
Yeah, what alpha are you trying to pull out of me? There's just too much alpha in my head, so you're going to have to give me more clarity on that one.
So for farming, what do you think would be a great optimization in line with MFGA?
I mean, ultimately, it's about reducing the number of clicks. I think there's two paths to doing that. Much shorter timers when you just need something quickly. That'll spend a seed, it'll spend energy, right? Why gate players that need something kind of quickly that they can do in the context of a session? And for other players, really leaning into seed bags being just vastly worth it, right? And so really leaning into that, where it's just overall less clicks. You come back, collect, you're good to go. In the context of this, the shift around, I just need some berries right now, you can kind of go in and still do that with seeds. And so really we've had them too similarly in the past, and now really making them separate forking paths with an obvious massive time benefit. I think that's the thing that we've really heard from the community and are making changes around, is just ultimately reducing time spent to get shit done so you can focus more on the strategy of how you want to progress and scale and grow. And with tribes and new things to build and advance and go after, and everything from new buildings to the gym system that's coming in, everything we're going to layer off of that, the grind of going into battle in Twilight Tactics. Like, we're acknowledging that the grind that's going to be playing Rainbow Rumble, right? Unicorn Party, like all of this stuff. There's more than enough to do, and we don't need people, just completely consumed by land gameplay, right? I want them to be consumed by the social strategy, the cooperative, social cooperative mechanics of this stuff, and that's really the what I think is exciting. And so we want to make changes to the overall meta and how land gameplay works in tandem with this major 3.0 release in such a way that's I think going to really benefit players and excite them. It will be a change to how it has worked in the past, but I think it will be viewed very positively, given I think we're all kind of on the same page that we just want less grind. We don't want to shift the grind from farming to questing or something weird, right? We just want to overall reduce that and give players who spend time and things the opportunities to just do more. I've certainly heard the feedback time and time again around there's just a limited number of things you can do, and then you're waiting, right? And then you're waiting. Giving people the option to be able to do more in the context of a session and then think strategically about what they want to return to, right? That to me is way more interesting than what we currently have. And so the mandate very simply was look at every system we've now built from Mailbox all the way to the very beginning. And how would we look at doing a major retune of the system, especially looking out ahead to what's coming with Tribes 3.0 and beyond? I think that's a great way to end. I mean, I really leaked alpha all over the place today. I'm sorry I made a mess. I'm looking forward to the next one. I'm looking forward to the next one. Should be fun. Especially post Twilight Tactics. That's going to be. Get ready for the first real war we've ever had as a community. I'm curious to know who's going to have the first unicorn die, and what what donkey will be sacrificed first. We should build a memorial to the first unicorn to lose their life in the forest. Uh-oh, Sparkly. Too much alpha? Too much alpha. I think Sparkly just completely lost it. Well, folks. All right, we see the transition to mobile. I'll wrap it up, Sparkly. I think I can kind of do it. Thanks for everybody who's joined. Huge amount of stuff. There we go. Thank God. I was dying. Yeah. I just can't close it out.
Oh no. I'm sorry. Yeah, my internet died because all of the alpha was just too good and it broke. That concludes our Town Hall number 50. I'm on my phone. As for other questions on the thread or on chat, we'll do our best to answer them later. We'll see you next time for Town Hall number 51. We'll put a recording of this in our socials if you would like to give it a real listen. And don't forget to share this with your friends and fellow Unicorn fans who couldn't make it. If you have more burning questions, feel free to reach out in our support channels, the Mod Support channel and the Ask the Devs channel. This has been Sparkly Unicorn with Stealthy Unicorn on Tech, hosting co-founder and CEO Aron with Alpha. Good morning, good night, and see you in game, Unicorn fam. Ooh.
Ooh.